welcome to this week's edition of the XP Billionaires. This is Ray Fagram, and we've got Irene Rogue, Sky Knight. How are we doing?
Hi. Pretty good.
Surviving, as I do.
Yeah. Well, that's better than not surviving. Too many games to play. They just keep coming. So you basically, we're not allowed to die.
Ever.
Nope.
What, are you sick now? Is it your turn to be sick?
Nah, it's just a headache today.
Oh no, that was me yesterday.
That was me the day before. So it just happened just in this interesting order there. But anyway,
seems to be that kind of weekend.
Yeah, definitely. The weather up here has been kind of up and down, so it's probably part of the cause.
Probably.
Oh, all right. So yeah, what's everyone been up to? Has anyone been playing anything new and fun?
Well, you guys saw what I was playing.
That's true. Well, for the people who missed out, and y'all shouldn't miss out. I mean, today was kind of a special occasion because you weren't able to stream last week. But
yeah, I was down with a cold, so I figured I'd wait until I wasn't all me just going like snort noises. Okay, so now we're gonna. So yeah, today was Subnautica, an adventure game, a survival kind of crafting game with an actual narrative that's quite interesting and takes place entirely on an oceanic planet. The big thing is I'm actually terrified of deep water. So every new area I go into is like a new anxiety attack, almost. Waiting for the giant monster to pop out because the game does advertise there are giant monsters.
That sounds like something you would want to do. Is just I can't understand why you want to give yourself an anxiety attack over and over again.
Well, it's more like it's an irrational fear, and I know it's an irrational fear, and I'm sick of it, so I'm like, here's a safe way for me to sort of like deal with it.
Okay.
You know, it's not necessarily like, well, if and when I actually hit one of those leviathans, which, if you guys haven't played the game, range in size from whale to kaiju. The worst that could happen is that it kills me in game, but at the same time, like, then it's over, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like you're frightened of something, but you can't really just get it over with because it doesn't ever happen in real life. So I'm hoping that maybe if I do it this way, then it'll sort of help expose me to it and make me feel better. They've also just released Subnautica Below Zero, which is in early access right now, but it's similar game but set in an icy ocean, so like Antarctic Ocean. So you're gonna have like ice caves and ice flows above you to contend with. It's gonna be interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes, actually.
No, that's good. That's good. Sky, what are you playing?
Mostly at the moment, it's been Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. I'm a good chunk of the way through. I would say at least 2/3, and I'm just in love with it. It's the second game in a duology, and they're just so good. The characters are great. The story is great. It's just way too much fun.
No, that's awesome. It's been that's and back in those days, those ones were very linear. Like unlike games like Awakening and whatnot, you didn't have any ways to go and do side grinding.
No, but you did get bonus experience between maps that you could allocate however you'd like.
Okay.
So it's which really helps when you're trying to do stuff like level mages and healers, because they don't tend to gain as much experience.
Right.
At least the way I play. So usually that's who the experience goes towards, because you have to be really careful, because Radiant Dawn was the last Fire Emblem game that there was permadeath, like non-optional permadeath.
Yeah, being able to turn that off is kind of great, in my opinion.
Yeah. It completely changes how you have to play the game. And that means a lot of the time not very much keeping your squishier units out of the line of fire, but that means that often they don't gain as much experience.
No, that's good. As for me, I have been torn. I got into having to make a very difficult decision. Which do I prefer? And that was either Apex Legends or Realm Royale, the two battle royale games I've been playing recently. In the end, I think I've sided mostly with Realm Royale, but I'm going to keep Apex going for at least a little bit just to see what kind of new content they roll out over the next little while. But Realm, I love the cartoony style. The chickens make me happy, and all of the skins that we've been getting right now have been a lot of fun. And I'm actually doing fairly well playing Realm. Like when I played a little bit of Fortnite about a year ago when it came out, and I wasn't as good at it. So finding a battle royale game that didn't have building made me very happy. But other than that, for in terms of RPGs, because that's what we're all here for, right? Um, in terms of RPGs, I've actually started a second playthrough of Devil Summoner, Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army.
Oh wow, blast from the past.
Oh man, and and it's such a fantastic game.
Was
You
that the
know,
one that made Sky rage quit because of the skull dudes?
yes,
Yes.
yes, it was.
I
Uh,
I do intend, now that I do know what I did wrong now, and so, but it's been so long that I'm gonna, when I go back to play it, I will start from the beginning, but that's not going to be anytime soon because I have more actiony stuff on the go still. Like I still haven't finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I still haven't finished Shenmue. I've been bad about finishing things lately, so yeah.
I'm bad about finishing things all the time. Just join the club. It's nice.
All right. Well, let's get started today with our topic today, and welcome to one and all. We are going to be doing our very first top list. Not topless. Sorry. No, we're all wearing clothes, I'm sure, but not that you can see them.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm
Um,
kidding.
but top list. We're going to be doing a top three list this week for you. And I thought we'd do something fun. This was a great idea that we all kind of decided upon, and I'm really looking forward to it. So one of the best aspects about a lot of RPG franchises, about any video game franchise in general, are the mascots. Whether it's a specific monster that's in every game of the series, or just a specific creature type NPC that you see or that they use for advertising, it really helps, make a game memorable. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a roundtable, and we're each going to sound off our top three. So first up is going to be Irene. What is your number three mascot?
So I had quite a bit of trouble putting these together because I was having a hard time putting them in order. But after a long thought and deliberation, I'm going to have to give it to the Norman from Tales of Zestiria, and to a lesser extent, Tales of Berseria. So the Tales games always have at least one mascot character, and though I was super tempted to give it to Mew from Tales of the Abyss, mostly for his extreme loyalty and kindness in the face of Luke using him as an improvised weapon at points, that is one of my favorite scenes of all time, just Luke grabbing Yu by the feet and using him to sucker punch a guard in the face. And Yu is okay with this, surprisingly. I had to give it to the Norman because not only are they cute little mascot characters, but they also serve an actual in-game purpose. So when you collect the Norman, you're able to basically apply their abilities to different gear. You can use them to sort of buff your characters and customize their gear a little bit more as you go through the game. And sometimes those buff and like they're one-time buff use only, like they're one-time only uses, but at the same time I found it useful to be able to go, well, this person is currently struggling with this, and I would really like to apply this effect so that I can activate this kind of combo effect, which would give me a giant chain, which would give them a really good ability, but I just don't have it. And then up pops the Norman with the little ability, and you could apply it and really easily bust your characters that way, at least for a little while. And eventually you're able to sort of assign them to the Lord of the Land in the area, which will increase the amount of equipment dropped with that effect. So they're these, I don't know how to describe them really. They're these little tiny colorful creatures wearing these itty bitty hats and like ribbons, and they just jump around and are oh so cute. They're nominally a lesser degree of Seraph, but they're pretty powerful in terms of actually enabling the player to pull off some of those trickier combos that are triggered by equipping, the right combination of equipment with the right abilities. And because of that, I had to it pushed them over the edge a little bit in terms of the fact that they were actually useful, not just cute.
No, and sometimes usefulness is really good. The other thing I forgot to mention, listeners, one of the things I will also be doing is putting up an Imgur link that will have images of all of our choices in today's episode that you guys will be able to go to, just to get some context and better design of what the mascots look like, in case you haven't played any of the games or haven't seen them.
Yeah, good idea. Oh, also, it's really easy to tell what the effects are because they're named like after their effect, except they're spelled very strangely. They're still
Oh,
phonetically correct, but they'll like name the one that is named attack will be spelled with like a Q or something like that.
yeah.
So ATCQ or something, and that'll be attack. You know?
Okay.
They're all sort of clever misspellings of the various effects that would be applied. It's quite interesting. Plus,
No,
they're
that's actually,
adorable.
that definitely helps. Points for adorability.
Oh yeah.
All right, Sky, what is your number 3?
My number 3 choice is Copins from Luminous Arc. They're basically adorable little creatures that have heads that are shaped kind of like an onion. And they have different elemental forms. And as far as I can tell, they're mostly there for cute factor, though they do have their own little adventures. They have these little sequences and they end them with because life tastes better with a spoonful of Coben. And they're just shamelessly cute. And you know what? I'm here for shamelessly cute. I really don't have much more to say about Copens than that, but look them up. They're cute. The games that they're in are also kind of cute, so go for it.
Yeah, and as I recall too, I remember a while back I played a little bit of Arc Rise Fantasia, and I think there was actually a Copen village in that game.
Yes, I believe so. I don't think neither of us got through Arc Rise Fantasia. I mean, in my case, mainly due to the horrendous voice acting, but like epically bad voice acting. But yes, they did have Copens. Because same developer, right? So they put the Copens in that game too.
Okay, well, I guess it's time for my number 3, and my number 3 is the Prinny. Yes, the worst of the worst in the netherworld. The Prinnies are the reincarnation of the souls of sinners, forced to live in servitude for eons and eons. From design-wise, I mean, they're basically demonic blue penguins that are stitched up and have little bat wings. And they're always carrying around a pouch to like a fanny pack to, carry all of their stuff for their masters. They're also playable in all of the Disgaea games. And one of the key factors about a Prinny is that if you pick it up and throw it, it will explode. It will deal damage to those within the surrounding area, but that Prinny will then be dead. I was doing a run through of Disgaea 4, and I was trying to do what I called a Prinny run, where all my party had to be Prinnies. Anybody that I encountered or acquired had to be reincarnated as a Prinny. And then in the event that there was a map where I was required to use pick up and throw, I would only be allowed to use 2 plot characters. It'd be Valvatorez and one other plot character at any time. And I mean, these guys garnered such a huge level of popularity that they're essentially the Nipponichi mascot at this point. They're not just there for the Disgaea franchise anymore. Even better, they've even got their own video game at one point for the PSP. They got two of them called Prinny, Can I Really Be the Hero? Where they were basically side-scrolling platformers that were just
Brutal.
just brutal, but just fun to
Yeah.
play with.
So to give you some context, listeners, these platformers, I played one of them for a little bit. You got 999 prinnies to play through the game with. And that was it, right? That was your stash of lives. I don't think it was enough. Because, oh my god, some of the sections were just obtuse and stupid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they definitely were. Then the boss fights were just massive.
I don't even think I got to a boss fight. I was trying to cross a pit. I remember there was a specific jump, and like 20 printies later, and I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I couldn't be bothered after that. But like, just to give you an idea of the level of disposability that the underworld sees in the printies, yeah. Didn't matter which one won. There were 999 printies.
Yep.
They were all the same.
All right. Well, that's our number threes. Let's move on. So we'll do the same circle. So Irene, what is your number two?
Kodama from Neo. It's really no surprise that these guys made my list, if you've been following me at all. The teeny little Kodama are a ray of sunshine in an otherwise dreary slog of a world, wearing their cute little tea-wear hats and partying on their tiny instruments. They're so goddamn cute. Like, this world is nothing but demons and blood and decapitations, and then you come across this little Kodama and you're like, hey, are you lost, little guy? Shrine's that way. And he starts to jump and wave, and he's so fucking happy to see you. But the best part is, as you collect them, they grant you passive bonuses, such as increasing the drop rate for weapons, armor, healing items. So the more you collect, the more the shrine fills up, the louder and more raucous their little party gets. So you can easily tell when you're close to a shrine. And really, I think that Tecmo Koei is really missing out on an opportunity here to sell Kodama merchandise. Because, like, I would buy all of them. Literally, I would buy a complete set of Kodama plushies. Easy. They're little teacup hats. They're wearing tea-wear on their head and have little branches. Teeny twigs that they wave like little staffs. And as you get closer to the shrine, they're playing these little off-key horns, and one of them's, like, napping in a corner. It's really cute. They're just this lovely little tonal balance to an otherwise very grim, dark setting.
Okay. Len, Sky, let's move on to your number two. What do we got?
Well, this is a fairly little known one, but I'm gonna go with the Grey Thorns from the Batten Kaitos duology.
Hey, you know what? The more we bring out the names of lesser known titles, the better, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. So the Grey Thorns are basically tiny, fat. They look like something between a whale and a seal, except they're like the size of a small dog, a small, really fat dog. And they're completely adorable, and they're not solely aquatic. They hop around on land all the time, but they're everywhere in the Batten Kaitos games. They're almost window dressing, part of the scenery all the time. One of the main characters does have one that travels with her as a companion. And they come in a bunch of different colors, and they don't really explain much about the Grey Thorns. They're just kind of there.
Well, that's really the best kind of mascot, is they just exist.
Yes. However, they are important. And if you get to the end of Batten Kaitos Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean, you will go, oh, that's why they exist. That makes sense. And that's all I can say without massive spoilers. But it's very interesting that they are treated like window dressing, just part of the environment throughout the game, and all the importance comes at the end.
And that's really good. That means they were really paying attention to the world. Like they didn't just, shoehorn in these mascots that have a purpose. They really took their time to put put effort into the fact that they're just everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, they're they're quite important in the end, and actually, they're just very cute. Like they wouldn't look out. They're the sort of mascot that would look at home in something like Pokemon.
Aw.
Like they're very cute, and it's just like they're just this happy thing to see when you go from town to town in those games. And yeah, play those games because they're brilliant.
They definitely are.
Yeah, unfortunately a lot rarer than I'd like, but maybe someday I'll get a remaster someday.
Maybe.
One can only hope.
Who did them?
Monolith Soft, believe it or not, before they were bought out by Nintendo.
Oh.
It's
Yeah, I
like
was gonna say that I don't recognize the publisher.
the publisher was actually like Monolith Soft is the studio. The publisher
Oh, yeah.
was I believe it was Bandai Namco actually.
It might have just been Namco now that I think about it. It might have been before the merger.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
possible.
One or
But
the other at the very least.
like it's they're some of the least known games by that publisher, because some of them, like, these are the people behind Xenoblade Chronicles, these were the people behind Xenosaga. Like, a lot of their other games are actually a lot better known than these two.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess it's time for my number two. Yeah, you usually say that in the mornings. I'm sorry.
God.
Womp womp.
Okay. For my number two, I have selected Jack Frost from the Shin Megami Tensei franchise.
Yeehaw.
Yes, there is just something special about Jack Frost when you look at him. You take that happy little snowman design and you give him the face of a jack-o'-lantern, and not only do you have cuteness, but you have terror all at the same time. Most of the games too, he's a really, really early game recruitment. He's usually no higher than level 20 or so from what I remember. Even when I've been playing Devil Summoner recently, he was level 18 for recruitment. So I think that's the highest I can recall him ever being. I could be wrong, but
I don't think you're incorrect there. My memory puts him usually at around 14.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah,
means
Persona games he's normally like
games.
10s and 12s, yeah, 10, 12, 14-ish.
Yeah.
Like he's probably like your second or maybe third entry in the magician category in your grimoire in
Yeah.
the Persona games.
And the nice thing too is that he also comes in different varieties. You've got the more demonic looking Black Frost, which is basically just, instead of his white snowy skin, it's all black with a red jack-o'-lantern face, which is a little bit more terrifying. But most importantly, especially for me right now, there's Raiho, which is in the Devil Summoner games. It's Jack Frost dressed as Raido Kuzunoha, and he is adorable. I actually own a plushie of him. Yeah, he came with the special box for Raido 2.
Yeah, I remember that plushie.
Yeah, no,
But
it
there's
was
also King Frost.
true. Yep, the royal master of all frosts.
Yeah, picture an upside down teacup with a Jack Frost head on top, with like a powdered wig and a scepter.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yep.
And a crown, of course, because he's king.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we've got the number twos out of the way. It's time to talk top mascots. Irene, are you ready for this?
Drum roll.
I think so.
All right, what is your number one mascot?
Okay, so my number one mascot is Moogles from Final Fantasy. Really, any surprises here? Moogles have been kind of part of my whole gaming experience ever since I was a little kid at this point. And really, they're almost synonymous with the word mascot, let alone just video game mascots. They're quite ubiquitous. Their consistent appearance throughout the Final Fantasy franchise is always a delight. Like, it's never anything but, oh, yay, there's some Moogles on the screen. I'm happy now. Like in 9, for example, they were an integral part of the world's communication system. They delivered the mail. That was their whole thing. But when you would get letters, they would invariably comment on the letters you were getting, and they felt very naturally integrated. And even like Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO incarnation of Final Fantasy, like their quests are strictly for crafter classes when you actually get up to doing their like loyalty quests. And I dislike crafting, but I level a crafter anyway, just so I can do the Moogle quests because I want to help them with their fluffy wuffy troubles.
Yeah, and I mean, Moogles have served so many roles in the different games. I mean, one was a playable party member in Final Fantasy VI, and there's a whole sequence in that game with like basically a full village full of Moogles, and they help two of the protagonists escape their enemies or early on in the game.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you had Kate Sith in Final Fantasy VII, who was essentially a cat riding on a giant Moogle, a
Yeah.
very large Moogle. Then when you get down to, some of the newer games, like they're just they're just cute and happy. Except they can also really fuck you up. The few times I've actually encountered them in battle, they have skills like Moogle Meteor or whatever, and they'll wipe your entire party if you touch them. Cuz they're really protective of their wee pom-poms. Like really protective. But I will give an honorable mention to Teddy from Persona 4, simply for the scene where he had to pretend to be a stuffed bear till the teacher left and then tells the protagonist, I have to pee. Still completely still. Just goes, I have to pee. And that's the end of the scene. I actually have a Moogle plushie in my bedroom. The pom-poms, man, the pom-poms. How could you not like the pom-poms, Kupo?
All right. Well, that's number one down. Now it is Sky's turn. What is your number one mascot?
Surprising absolutely no one who knows me. I'm going with the Poonie from the Atelier series. Yes. So basically, for those who are not familiar with the Atelier games, the Poonies are small gelatinous looking creatures that bounce around. They're basically shaped like something like a mochi or even like a hot cross bun, that kind of shape.
Yeah,
And
they're like flat on the bottom and like
curved.
round. Yeah.
Yeah, like a half moon shape.
Can't imagine Poonies taste very good.
I don't know. They kind of look like Jello.
Yeah, but they have like sentience.
Yeah, well, yeah. So at least some of them do. So basically, that's normally what they look like. There are slightly taller and skinnier versions in the more recent Mysterious trilogy, but mostly they're the more, bun shape. The blue pony, which is sort of the classic pony, they're among the first enemies you fight in Atelier games. But there are lots of different variations you get through as you get through some of the games. Like red is a common one, gold's a common one. I've even seen black, and there were rainbow ones in the Mysterious trilogy. And there's even in Atelier Iris Eternal Mana, there is the Puni God, which is basically like a puni the size of a blue puni the size of a castle that you can walk into like through his mouth, I guess. And you can walk around inside his squishy insides. It's rather strange.
I think I
They
remember that sequence.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Um and there are Puni NPCs that show up from time to time as well. So at least some of them can talk. Yeah, it's rather curious actually. I just like them. They're fun. They have a long history, and they're kind of cute in a sort of vaguely squishy jello-like way. So they're my top pick.
Awesome. All right. Well, that leaves only one more top pick to go, and I guess that's mine. So, my number one pick is the slime from Dragon Quest. Not only is this little drop of blue goo an icon to one of the pioneers of RPG console gaming, this little guy has a special place in my heart because He was my first kill. He was my first RPG kill ever. This is when I was 6 years old. I didn't even own the game. I went to my best friend's house after school. He had a copy, and we've actually played through and beat the game, which is surprising because we were six. Like RPGs were like I try to remember I was 8 and I couldn't get through the first Final Fantasy game. The charming thing about him is that there really isn't much to his design. It is a droplet of goo with two eyes and a mouth. Like that's it. There's no substance. There's no other design to it other than it's just adorable. And he's garnered such a ridiculous amount of popularity. And just like a lot of the other mascots, as more games came out, more variations of the slime came out. You have the Drax slimes, you have the slime knights, you have a whole bunch of different varieties to work with now. But it just came from this one little blue thing. And when you see that in the text, a slime draws near, it just warms your heart. No matter what you do, no matter which game you're playing, when you see that, it's over. I'm happy.
I mean, they are pretty cute.
Yeah.
And every now and then they can surprise you. If I remember correctly, in the new Dragon Quest, there are certain fights, if you don't necessarily kill the slimes quickly enough, they'll like coalesce into like the slime god and will murder your whole fucking party if you're not careful.
The King Slime, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the games have done that. Yeah, as long as so many of them survive, they can fuse into the King Slime. And yeah, at that point in the game when they're introduced, usually it becomes a challenge, but the King Slimes are eventually fairly pushovers.
Oh, I'm sure. It's a bit of a surprise the first time you encounter them. It's like, bunch of slimes. Why are they still coming? Oh dear.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, those are the top 3 mascots as created by each of us. These have been. I'm glad that they were all varied. I'm actually really glad we didn't have any loop over or had to get in a fight over who got to pick what.
There are plenty of mascots to go around.
All right. Well, that is our show for this week. So, as time for the obligatory plugs, as always, we're on Twitter. I'm at Billionaires XP. And Sky, where are you?
I'm at Sky Knight XP.
And Irene, where can we find you?
I'm at irogue_XP on Twitter and on Twitch at irogue.
Awesome. And your recordings are finally starting to show up from your live streams, so definitely go back and check out the ones you've missed.
Yeah, I'm thinking that eventually Twitch will save them for a certain amount of time, but I'm thinking eventually we might move them to the XP Billionaires YouTube channel.
Totally okay with that. I'll make sure we can get that done.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you like what we're doing, please feel free to send us a small donation through Ko-fi. We're at ko-fi.com/XP Billionaires, all one word. Thank you to everyone for listening. Thanks to my hosts for coming in, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.